Hey people, it's me again. So anyways, I'm over at the park again. So this is another bike trail because this one bike trail kind of takes me all the way to a different park, but then we go past like the water treatment plant and all this other stuff along the way, and so it's going to take me about like a couple of minutes at this point, at least probably like 10, maybe 15 or 20 for me to walk all the way to there. And I walked this sort of trail here about probably like 5 or 6 years ago, one of the times when I was doing my Pokemon Go runs. Yeah. But I would do this sort of thing at night because it was hot and I don't really wanted to I just needed like my me time of that sort. You know what I mean? But I figure I'll just try to keep on walking all the way to that other park because there's like some benches there, and hopefully there's going to be some place where I could sit down and not worry about getting my clothes wet or something like that. But there's also this one of like the covered bus stops along the way afterwards, and so considering all that, it's one of the things, again, when it comes to law of attraction, law of assumption, that sort of thing, when it comes to manifesting and all that. In a way, it's like we're all connected to each other, regardless of what your belief system is. It's because some people say it's like quantum physics, some people say it's God or Jesus, Paul, Mary, or the Buddha, or whatever it is. And but it's more of like a conscious collective. But the reason I keep saying this sort of stuff is just so that you're up to speed about what I'm like talking about in a sense. You know what I mean? So, considering all of that, when it comes to one of my specific persons of that sort, specific people, because you can have more than one specific person, and you can have like whatever type of relationship that you want with them, whether if you want them to be committed to you monogamously or non-monogamously, of that sort, that's your choice of that matter. And or if you want to like manifest somebody just so you can have a date or two, or just a hookup, or whatever the case may be, that's the case. But the thing is not really being too attached on the outcome. That's one thing, because there's multiple outcomes, however it be, as far as that goes. And when it comes to all of that, like, there's the whole thing of mind transmission, of that sort of telepathy, and it's all real. It's just, as long as you believe it, it's real. As long as you believe that manifestation works, it works. Because it always works. So even if you don't believe it works, it don't work for you. You know, that's pretty much the thing that I keep reiterating. You know, so here we are at this water treatment facility. So there was like at least 2 other like water treatment facilities around here, and about 2 years ago, I think something happened with one of them and sparked a fire, and so there were these houses that were on the top of one of the hills there, and some of these houses had burned down to the ground. You know, and so I forgot to mention this sort of thing here, and it was just one of the things here. So, considering the other part of it, the state of the wish fulfilled. The state of the wish fulfilled is really about the inner knowing of it, and when you have your desire, and it's really about, you know, when you feel this sort of, it's like, you know, satisfaction and gratitude of that sort when you finally have it. It's kind of like, in that sense, when you ask your parents for something and they're like, well, you know, but in some cases, like if you have parents that put you through a battery of tests or whatever it is, just so you can make sure that you appreciate what you've earned. That's kind of like the analogy of that sort. And in a way, one of my biggest things was like, you know, is that when it comes to that, you would get bored with the things that you desire if it comes too easily. But then it's also the fact that, you know, the universe, God, or whatever, just puts you these sort of challenges of making sure that you truly desire it, of that sort. And so that's kind of like the whole reasoning of why when you're like manifesting your SP and they're like ghosting you or telling you to buzz off or whatever it is, but then if you feel like you're dedicated to have them, you know, that you're willing to say, like, you know what, I don't really care if they say no, I'm just gonna do my own thing, and that sort. Because one of the things, when you start to realize like that you don't really care about your specific person, as far as no longer putting them on the pedestal and all that, that's when they start to come running to you, because it's a fear of missing out. It's a fear of, you know, the fact that someone else has your attention and that sort. You know, it's always the case, like, why do exes come back when you don't need them anymore? It's because of the fact that they lost something and realized what they could have had. You know, that it's one of those little things. But then it's also the case, like, if you were that type of person that was the ex in the situation where you realize, you know, what you could have had, and now, like, that person has moved on and all. You know what I mean? So that's just the biggest takeaway when it comes to that. So considering all that, I mean, I'm just gonna do my own thing when it comes to, my SP of that sort, or two, as far as, J1 and J2 that I talked about, and it's weird, where the dynamic starts to shift in this sort of thing. But it's always like in these sort of, sitcoms and rom-coms and all these other stories of, like, boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl, of that sort. And so it's like, in my journey of this sort, is like, I'm already at that point where it's like, guy meets guy, guy loses guy. And now it's like, just biding my time before it gets to guy gets guy. When it comes to, J2, for example, in that sense, it's going to be at that point where it's like what happened a few times, where I thought that, I was never going to have this person, and where I was already at that point of being content with not having them, and now I can, like, focus on somebody else, or what the case when it came to other stuff that I really wanted back. That sort was like my original YouTube channel, or this channel, I can say that this Rukage 99 channel, and then my Mr. Okage channel, where here I've been told that I should just give up on that. And I got my channel back. I got that other channel back after a certain amount of time. It took me like 5 years to get, my Rukage 99 channel back from being terminated or suspended or whatever it was. And it took me about almost a year for my other, Mr. Okage channel back from suspension, or back from termination, because I never really truly gave up on it. It was just me putting it on the back burner and putting all this sort of stuff on the back burner. And it was like the case with like my relationship with Ricky. I've been told more than once that I should just forget about Ricky, move on, but I eventually got to sleep with him in that sense, and if I was just a really petty person, I would have gone around and took pictures of me with Ricky to anybody who said that, I should just give up on him and call it a day and that sort, or the times where I think that, when it comes to people who I didn't want in my life, and here I managed to finally get them out of my life. That guy Matt, who kept bugging me to go out with, when I was never going to go out with him. He was annoying at best. I only saw him as a friend, but it's too bad that I don't have him as a friend, but that's okay, because at least he learned that you can't go around and pester someone over and over just so you can get them to like you when it's not going to happen. When it's just simply, I was just not an energetic match to him. And that's kind of like the thing, the reason why sometimes you don't get your SP back, because there's some sort of, sentimental thing that shows it just does not work that way. And that is just simply that you're not an energetic match to them, as far as, what their core self is and whatnot. So, anyways, here I've been walking around for quite a bit, and I feel like I need to sit down somewhere, but I think I'm gonna sit down on these stairs. Yeah. So, at this sense, there's like this fork in the trailway, because there's like a unpaved trail and then the one that's paved that I was walking on, and so it's kind of like one thing there. And so there's like this one trail there that takes you to one road, and another one that takes you to another road if you go straight across. So that's just one of the things here. So anyways, I guess that's probably it. So talk to you guys later. Hey people, it's me again. So it's just about 8 p.m. Today is March 16th, 2024. So, considering all of this here, when it comes to my manifestation journey of that sort, I think the biggest hurdle of making it fully manifest was just me. That I want to be with J1 and J2, but then I have like the doubts of like, could this type of relationship could work, but then I kind of begin to realize like, it could work in whatever fashion it would be, like having J1 be like a friend with benefits of some sort, and then actually have that type of relationship with him, and then with J2 wanting him as a boyfriend of some sort or a lover, and it's one of the things that they said a lot when it comes to manifestation, law of attraction, law of assumption, is that when you're manifesting somebody like an SP for like a romantic relationship, there's a timeline of where you're already there in that relationship, and in a way, it's like going on a boat, because the biggest obstacle when it comes to that is all these different circumstances that you shouldn't really pay attention to for the most part, and that was just one of the things, because when we're going out about like that in the 3D, the only thing that kind of stops us is like the weather or just certain things with the logistics and as far as that goes. And I think that was like really what I should have been thinking more about in that sense when it comes to manifesting and the law of attraction and law of assumption, is that. Because in a way, when it comes to time really has no meaning of that sort, and so you can go fast or slow as you want, as I said earlier. And so for me, I can go as slow as I want to, because it's more easier this way, and rather than just that. And yeah, but to tell the truth, as far as that goes, that there's a bit of like evidence when it comes to J2, and like how he's kind of conforming to me. And at one point when I was in the Kundalini awakening state, and where I was getting really connected to the universe, conscious, collective, or whatever we would call that. And at one point, it was like I was having like, you know, visions of J2, and then he gotten himself more tattoos as far as that goes, and where he had another tattoo on his one of his forearms just to match the other one, and then the one on his other arm was like the heart shape tattoo there, and as far as that goes, because somehow I just saw like he was gonna get that eventually, you know. So that was one of the whole stories there. But it feels like I'm gonna be with this guy probably after the year's over with. You know, once it's 2025 or so, because that's really how it should be at that point. Because at one time where I was like, you know, checking out these astrologers and tarot card readers at that point, you know, because I wanted a glimpse of like different futures of that sort, and one of them told me that he was gonna be ready to move on after this year, you know, and that was back around like July of last year, once I was getting into this sort of Kundalini awakening state, and then that was the whole reasoning of why I was like not feeling myself. It was because of that, and it was really like my reality was starting to shift greatly and all that, and you know, but it feels like, you know, like I'm probably gonna get there eventually with J2, or you know, and I shouldn't really be doubting or worrying about the whole process itself of that sort. And you know, because a lot of the manifestation coaches had said it's like that your specific person is already yours, and so you just don't really have to do a whole lot because of that. And sometimes we forget, you know, if we do too much on it, it delays the whole thing instead of just simply, you know, just do it more simply of that sort. But that's kind of what it is, you know. Because at one point, you know, Law of Attraction Solutions, like by Robert Zink, he had said about like one of his clients there was wanting to manifest somebody, and then it took them 2 years because of the fact that the person was married to somebody else. And at one point, you know, it took them that long because time doesn't really have any meaning in the 5D, as far as that goes. And mainly, it's really about like the energy or whatever you would call it is there, and the fact that there's all these different timelines, different realities that can exist at one point, And it was sort of like the explanation of like the man from Torrid and all these other things, was that, of like the different reality shifting sort. So I think that's just what it is. Yeah. But I think the other thing that I was gonna talk about was, is that there's just a whole lot more that I wanted to say about everything, but it feels like I just can't really, talk about it all at once because, for me, I get caught in minutiae, and when I really want to be more concise about it, but it's like leaving out just that one small detail can change the whole thing, but that's just one of the things I have to kind of point out here. So anyways, I guess that's probably it. So talk to you guys later.